Welcome again to my channel. I'm JW, and today I would be giving an insight on the current happenings in the cryptocurrency world. And today I would be focusing on... Hi, I'm JW from the Moments Known channel. The SEC is meeting with Ripple today, Monday, March 25th, 2024, and the case is soon going to come to an end. We'll find out exactly what happens with the lawsuit's remedies section, and we'll talk about what that might mean for XRP in particular. Some people believe it will matter a lot, and I stand by that. But I'm not sure I agree with that assessment. Merely a person on the internet who knows, but it's great, because the first word on the treatments will actually come from us. Another portion of the deadline is tomorrow, so I'll give you the details here, but I also want to briefly discuss this story from Business Insider. We haven't discussed SBF in a while, have we? The headline says that victims may receive all of their money back, but the judge who is sentencing Sam Bankman-Fried might not give a damn. A few points to note are that Sam Bankman-Fried is scheduled to be sentenced within the next few days. His lawyers are asking for a sentence of more than 100 years, but I don't think either of those things are going to happen, but I'd be shocked if he didn't get at least a few decades. As for the idea that victims will get their money back, well, that's completely false. Before we continue, let me clarify that I have no background in finance, that I'm not giving financial advice, and that you should never buy or sell anything as a result of anything I say. I'm just an enthusiast who likes to make YouTube videos about cryptocurrency as a hobby or for fun. Moving on to the first subject, here's a headline that you published today: next step for Ripple, and SEC begins with a pivotal fill countdown. The legal dispute between Ripple Labs and the US Securities and Exchange Commission has been a major topic in the cryptocurrency industry, with implications that go far beyond the parties involved. Recently, the lawsuit made significant progress as the remedies briefing began with a pivotal filing. According to James K. Fillin, a former federal prosecutor, the lawsuit has filed its opening remedies-related brief and supporting documents under seal. These documents are not publicly available, but public versions must be filed by Tuesday, March 26, 2024, so that people. This is the part that's happening today, Monday, March 25, 2024. On March 19th, Ripple and the SEC submitted a joint sealing proposal to address sealing issues relevant to the remedies-related briefing in the lawsuit. The SEC's opening motion kicked off the remedies briefing. Other important dates to watch out for would be April 22nd, 2024, when Ripple's opposition brief is anticipated, and May 6th, when the SEC's reply brief is expected, accompanying materials on March 26th. The SEC is expected to file a public redacted version of its opening brief tomorrow, possibly. This version will only include the provisional redactions that the parties and third parties requested during the meeting and conference. Additionally, the SEC will file any supporting exhibits in the public docket that it has not designated as confidential. The Pro-Protective Order is owned by Ripple or any other third party. Alright, so what exactly we find out tomorrow when the redacted version is made public will depend on how severe these redactions are. My suspicion is that anything of substance that we're actually going to see will be revealed, I assume. The SEC and Ripple will discuss any sensitive information about an individual or anything related to that. However, I believe there will be a story behind this, and we'll learn how severe the remedies the SEC is seeking against Ripple and how much they want to beat him up. I'm assuming that whatever the remedy is, it will be completely irrational and ridiculous because, as my wise counsel suggests, the SEC's lawyers are actually a bunch of ass-hat pricks. Think that the most likely scenario is that something outrageous, just something completely unreasonable, it will be filed, and then we'll talk about it online. This is what's been going on for years, people. And as far as this is related to XRP specifically, there are still people in the community who, well, look at everybody's entitled to their own opinion, which isn't going to be incorrect here. Some people believe that the price of XRP will react to news, or not. And that when this thing concludes, they certainly think that it might be similar to what happens with the price of XRP, would be contingent upon a ruling in favor of Ripple. I just don't buy that. I don't think the market is concerned about XRP. It's evident that XRP has legal clarity, which is why all exchanges under the sun relisted XRP in the US. If that wasn't enough, I think the market became aware of this, and if Ripple gets a bad deal, they get a raw deal and have to pay a huge sum of money, or whatever the penalties may be. I don't see why XRP holders would be concerned, nor would speculators. Although I haven't heard a compelling case made, Some individuals seem to assume that's how people will react for essentially unclear reasons and all right, it doesn't matter at all, as far as I'm concerned here. I mean, since I'm an XRP holder and I've been going through this with the rest of you for years now, admittedly I have curiosity, and that I'm sure you guys do too obviously. It's like we have curiosity about it, but the part that matters for us, that's over. We got our clarity, and we're entering a bull run right now. It's incredible, so this thing is just you. Coming up roses for us, at least so far, right? Well, let's talk a little bit about SBF. According to this Business Insider headline, victims of the financial terror attacks may receive all of their money back, and the judge sentencing Sam Bankman-Fried may not give a damn. Well, I don't know how the judge will feel, or what will be taken into consideration, but if the victims receive their money back, the judge should be taking a mental stock of that, because it's simply untrue, and it's absolutely not, depending on what you consider to be money. I'll explain what I mean by that in a moment time here, but allow me to briefly share some of this information with you. According to federal prosecutor Sam Bankman, users of FTX, his cryptocurrency exchange, lost more than $8 billion as a result of one of the largest criminal schemes ever perpetrated, according to his lawyers. FTX say customers might get all their money back. Their dispute leaves a 4-decade gap between how long prosecutors want the ex-crypto boss to serve in prison and the much lower 6.5 sentences lawyers are fighting for. The judge, who will sentence Bankman-Fried on Thursday, is being asked to address this vast gulf. He will have to decide how much money the convicted fraudster should be held accountable. On XRP.
So the headline here from Business Insider, FTX's victims may get all their money back. The judge sentencing Sam Bankman-Fried might not care. Well, I don't know what the judge is going to feel, and I don't know exactly what will be considered, but the victims getting quote-unquote their money back, the judge should be taking mental stock of that, because it's literally not true. It's absolutely not, because it depends on what you call money. And I'll explain what I mean by that in just a moment here. But let me share with you a little bit of this article. According to federal prosecutors, Sam Bankman-Fried orchestrated one of the biggest criminal frauds in the history of the world. Customers of FTX, his cryptocurrency exchange, lost more than $8 billion, they say. According to his lawyers, FTX's customers might get all their money back. Their dispute leaves a 4-decade gap between how long prosecutors want the ex-crypto boss to serve in prison and the much lower 6.5-year sentence his lawyers are fighting for. The judge who will sentence Bankman-Fried on Thursday is being asked to address this vast gulf. He will have to decide how much money the convicted fraudster should be held accountable for. He is also being asked to weigh the entire circumstances of Bankman-Fried's life, including the possibility that he is neurodivergent and should be treated differently than a run-of-the-mill fraudster. Oh, poor little Sam Bankman-Fried. Blah, 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 blah. Blah, blah, blah. Cucumber-eating son of a bitch. Oh, sad. I don't give a crap. I have literally no sympathy for... He ruined people's lives. No sympathy whatsoever for this douchebag. Bankman-Fried's criminal case is inextricable from the complicated bankruptcy of FTX, the cryptocurrency exchange he was convicted of using as a vehicle for fraud. He was arrested in December 2022, just about a month after FTX collapsed and declared insolvency under a new CEO, the seasoned executive John J. Ray III, who was tasked with shepherding the ruins of FTX through the bankruptcy court. Since the arrest, the criminal cases against Bankman-Fried and his co-conspirators, other executives who have pleaded guilty and largely cooperated with prosecutors, worked on a parallel legal track to FTX's bankruptcy proceedings. As Bankman-Fried sat in his parents' home under house arrest, he purported to make efforts to help out with the bankruptcy process. Offering to help identify FTX's assets, he repeatedly emailed Ray, who spurned him. Shortly after he took over the company, Ray told the court there was a complete absence of trustworthy financial information. Bankman-Fried complained about being shut out, insisting to journalists and friends that he could have helped locate FTX's scattered assets. U.S. District Judge Lewis Kaplan, who presides over Bankman-Fried's criminal case in Lower Manhattan, precluded all talk of the bankruptcy proceedings from the month-long trial. Bankman-Fried's criminal culpability rested on intent to defraud, not how much money customers actually lost, he ruled. And folks, so that part was kind of interesting to me. The way the law works, at least in this particular district, is that it's not about how much money was even stolen. In fact, at some point in this article, they said it doesn't matter if if you were, if he was aiming just to defraud to the tune of $5 million and only got $2. The $5 million figure is the part that matters, which is not good for SBF. It's definitely not good for SBF. And this is one of the largest instances of fraud, in this case an outright Ponzi scheme, in the history of our species. $11 billion, if you include Alameda. $11 billion. So we're going to find out on Thursday how long he's going to spend in prison. And as far as I'm concerned, the longer the better. I have absolutely no sympathy for this cucumber-eating son of a bitch. And as far as the money people lost, well, they're not getting it all back. If anyone's going to argue that they're getting it all back, it's twisted, and here's why. So check out this part of the article right here. FTX's depositors would be repaid based on the dollar value of their cryptocurrency holdings at the time that FTX declared bankruptcy. So folks, if they bought Bitcoin and they owned Bitcoin, what they're getting back is not Bitcoin. If they owned XRP at the time that this happened, what they are getting back is not XRP. It's basically liquidated at whatever price that is for all intents and purposes. It's tantamount to that occurring. And then they get the dollar value at that, which is way less than what the market is now. So check this out. They write, so if someone purchased one Bitcoin on FTX's exchange at the price of $60,000, and then Bitcoin dropped to $20,000 in November of 2022, which can be at least partly attributed to the chaos of FTX at the time, their credit is worth $20,000. It doesn't matter if the price of Bitcoin has risen back to over $60,000 since then. The creditor would get $20,000, not $60,000. So, folks, think about it. Say you bought Bitcoin at $60,000, and then say you got a whole Bitcoin, and then it drops in price. It loses 66% of its value, of its market value, and then you think you still have the one Bitcoin. And you did, that didn't change, regardless of what it's worth in United States dollars. And then this collapse happens because it's a Ponzi scheme. You couldn't cash out. And now what you're getting back after all of this, and there's nothing you could do in the interim. You didn't have your funds. What you get back is not your one Bitcoin. You get back dollars. And so if it went from, like they said here, if it went from $60,000 to $20,000, too bad, so sad for you, crypto investor on FTX. And they call that, FTX customers being made whole. They're getting all their money back. No, they're supposed to get their crypto back. Then it would be made whole. But of course, we knew that wasn't going to happen. I know that's not a realistic target, but then don't say that it's happening, because that is just misleading. It's just not the case. These customers are not being made whole. And, think about it. So that money, had they gotten it the day that FTX collapsed, which obviously was impossible, but had that happened, at least they could have reinvested it, and then they wouldn't have lost it. But that's not the case. They lost, about a year and a half to this point, those funds not being put to work in crypto, and now we're well into a bull run. This has wrecked people. I have no sympathy for SBF. So we'll see what happens. Again, my opinion, as far as the prison sentence, the longer the better. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.